Welcome to another episode of Satisfactory Update 6, and in this episode, we're going to be diving into Tiers 5 and 6 as we progress through this new update. So sit back, relax, and let's jump into it. Alright, so before we really dive into working on Tier 5 and 6, there's a couple of little things that we need to upgrade. First things first is our power. We're at 1.2 gigawatts of power. We're consuming, our max consumption is 1.187 megawatts of power, or gigawatts of power. So we basically need to double up our power usage. We've got to make another power plant down there, as well as we need to be making a few more extra little components up there so that we can get our, I think it's motors is the first thing that I've got to dive into making. Let's just whip over here and have a quick look. So the first one we're going to be working on is oil processing, because this gets us a refinery and basically everything else we need to continue with the rest of the upgrades. So motor production is what we need to be focusing on. And to get to that point, we need to have a pretty substantial run of stators and rotors for it. So that's what I got to focus on in getting upgraded, because we're making like the bare minimum. So now it's time to get that all upgraded and get us some more power and get started on unlocking some of those tiers. So before we dive too heavily into those upgrades, we have some MAM research that we need to look after. I've gone and done some hunting, so let's go check out what we can get done with our MAM research. There's some items that I've gathered up, and they're all sitting here in my inventory, so let's get started. Alien organism. I don't know if there's... Oh yeah, we did. I did find the nuts that we needed for this, so we can actually process this out now so that we can get the medical inhaler. Starting that research. That is now completed for us. So the only thing left over here now is hostile organism detection, but we need crystal oscillators and AI limiters for being able to get that done. We're still a tiny bit off from that happening. Let's look at our Caterium tree. I do have enough Caterium on me that we can research that out. Now we need to find ourselves a Caterium node and be able to get some quickwire production up and running. So nutrients, of course, I do have these nuts, so we're going to research that out. That gets that done. And last thing we need to do is find that little bacon plant, the bacon agaric. We got to find that to be able to get this unlocked and continue on, which I believe it gets us more into medical inhalers. Power slugs. I don't have a purple power slug yet, so we still have to go hunting for that so we can unlock making the 5 sharp power shards with the purple slugs. Quartz. Quartz, I went and did the quartz manufacturing, and I'll go show you that here in a little bit. But we've got some things here that we can turn in. First things first, let's get our shatter rebar. We're going to start that. That is now available to us. And we will play around with some of that rebar and see kind of what all it does as I get more of it unlocked. Next is the crystal oscillators. We can now work at manufacturing the crystal oscillators. I do have some quartz crystal here and the reinforced iron plate, so we're going to research that out. Next thing on the list here is our blade runners. These are going to be so nice now that we can make the blade runners. That gives us our extra speed and extra jump boost. It's going to make it so much easier to move around the base. Researching that is done. And what else have we got done here? This inflated pocket dimension, we can get that done. It just requires some more silica. We're going to research that out as well. That is complete. Now these, I don't have the crystal oscillators or the novelisks, so we can't do that. Again, this is more crystal oscillators before we can unlock that. This is crystal oscillators. We've got the reader, so we'll be able to get the object scanner and stuff upgraded, or radio signal scanning. And then radar tower is still to, again, it's crystal oscillators and circuit boards, which we're not making either of those. Sulfur for production. Let's have a look at what we've got here. I've got sulfur and I've got the coal. So that gives us the ability to make black powder. That's now unlocked. And what else? Oh, it looks like we can do experimental power generation. We have that as well. Experimental power gen. Why don't I remember that? What was that? Oh, compacted coal is now in the tree. I want to think, wasn't that an alternate recipe before? And they've now added this into the regular tree. I think that's actually really cool that they've added. And you know what? It is technically an alternate recipe. If you notice here, it's requiring a hard drive, which I have one, and of course sulfur and coal. I'm going to research that because compacted coal is really good for us. Like, we could take advantage of the compacted coal to increase our power on our current generations we have out there. So what else can we do here? Turbo fuel is now no longer an alternate recipe. We just need some the fuel canisters, as well as they fuel. I think they're packaged fuel is what they're called, but it's basically fuel canisters, coal, and another hard drive for that. So it seems like they're adding some of the alternate recipes direct into the MAM Research, which is, I think that's kind of cool. What is this here? Smokeless powder. Okay, that's new. I don't remember that from before, so this is an update 6 thing. And then, of course, we have our Novelist and also our expanded tool belt. But, of course, we need to be making black powder for that, which, I mean, I need to find another coal node and find a sulfur node, and we can crank that out. So that's kind of where we're at for our MAM Research now, though. Everything's been taken care of. We got a fair amount of things upgraded there. I mean, I'm pleased with how our research is progressing here. We're nearly done with alien organisms. Deuterium, we're still a ways away, but we're going to be cranking that out. That's going to be basically our focus going forward, is getting Deuterium done. And hopefully we stumble across some of these nutrient ones. The power slug, we're almost done that. And quartz, we're really close to getting that all locked down. And yeah, this tree has been a pleasant surprise to see some of these things showing up now in MAM Research rather than it just being a hard drive and a alternate recipe. So, okay, let's show you some of the upgrades that we had to get in place so that we could get motors built. All right, so the first upgrade that we did here was in our rotor manufacturing. We added in another assembler here, putting rotors together, and we brought in another screw line because this is taking 300 screws per minute on this. And of course, we had to bring in another line because our belts are only capable of doing a maximum of 270 items per minute. So that has all been added here so that we could get, I think we're making 12 rotors per minute here. 2 rotors per minute are going into making our smart plating, and then 10 rotors per minute end up going upstairs for our motor manufacturing. So let's go upstairs and see some of the other upgrades. Okay, so we're getting up here where our other upgrades are. As you can see, we've upgraded our copper wire, is now coming in at 120 items per minute because we're consuming it a little bit more. And we have some manufacturers set up over here, or some assemblers set up over here. This is our stator assembly. We now have, what is it? Let me see the total here. 1, 2, 3 manufacturers, or sorry, 3 assemblers making our stators, of which we have them going into storage. And then we are pulling a stator line down here that is feeding into this assembler that is also getting a feed of copper cabling. This is making, oh sorry, this is the automated wiring. So we already had that in place, but we added this line over here, which is our stators and our rotors. So the stators and rotors are coming together to make our motors, and the motors, of course, are getting stored in here. And we do have a feed here so that they can go off and make other things later on in our production line. But the motors was the next thing that we needed for being able to unlock additional tiers. But before we go and unlock that first bit, that first milestone in Tier 5, let us have a quick fall to our doom. Took us down to like an 1/8 of a health. Don't do that, but as long as you're full health, I mean, I did that in the, not the last episode, but the episode before, so, or maybe it was this, I don't know. All the episodes are kind of blending together, but I gotta stop jumping off the side of our starter base. and, you know, surviving. But you do notice when you do die or fall now and take a huge amount of damage or get attacked, remember it only used to go up to 3 little health bars here in the bottom left-hand corner? Well, now that will slowly, as long as you're not being attacked, that will slowly increase and eventually fill up all the way. So you don't have to be reliant as much on having food and stuff. It's still good to have some medical kits with you so that you can pop them in the heat of a battle to be able to get your health back up. But now you get some overtime health benefits as well. So here we are down at our power generation. I did find 2 more normal nodes of coal. They're just off over along that side over there. And we are bringing it down, and we set up another 16 coal generators down here that, of course, are all load balanced and making another 1.2 gigawatts of power. So we're now up to 2.4 gigawatts of power, and everything that we've added in here now, we're up to 1.4 gigawatts, almost 1.5 gigawatts of max consumption. But we've got some room to play with here. So hopefully now, though, moving forward, once we start getting into our oil production and dealing with the refinery, we'll be able to get some fuel generators up and running. So that'll be another avenue for additional power resources for us. But that is what we upgraded here. Now, the other thing I want to show you is where we did our crystals, the quartz, the raw quartz, our quartz crystals, and our silica manufacturing. So let's go head over there and have a look. All right, so just down from our starter factory, there are 2 nodes here for, there are pure nodes that we are getting raw quartz from. On this one here, we got our raw quartz all loading through, and I believe this is our silica production line. So we're going into 9 constructors. I am getting slightly more quartz than, I think 10.6 would have been using 100% of the node that's coming out of here. But 9 for right now is plenty for being able to make the silica that we need. So that is all sitting here in storage and available to us later on when we start using some of that for manufacturing. And then this node here is making our quartz crystals. So it's 6 more constructors over here that are manufacturing those out, and they're just getting put into storage. So we got quartz crystals and silica all taken care of. But now it's time to go unlock that first milestone for oil production over at the hub. All right, we've made it back to the hub. Let's go and turn in oil processing here. Let's select this milestone. We are adding in our motors. We're adding in our encased industrial beam. We're also adding in a bunch of steel pipe, as well as some copper sheeting. That is now unlocked, and we get access to oil production now.
Milestone reached. Oil acquisition and refining unlocked. Oil-based products can now be made. The byproducts of oil refinement can be used after further processing, as seen in the refinery.
So now we have the ability to scan for crude oil
during out-of-base activities.
So let's see how far we got to go to find some crude oil. There is 2 nodes, like 400 meters that way. That's good news for us. That's really good news for us. So, yeah, we're going to be able to get some oil up and running. There's also, looks like a couple of nodes maybe that way. There's at least 2, if not 3 nodes off in that direction. So it's time now to let's go do some hunting, find some nodes out there, and see what we can do with getting our oil, plastic, and rubber productions all up and running. So just over from our base, I have found there's a couple of impure crude oil nodes here. There's one here. There's another one over here that I've got marked off here, basically to keep mobs from spawning in this area. And then just down over this ledge that's here, or rise or whatever, there is another normal node, which is It's basically like right behind that pillar. It's like almost right. See if I can get a view of it here somewhere. Right there. I've got it marked off. That's a normal node that's right there. So combined, we can get the amount that we would get out of a pure node of crude oil. So not the best oil nodes, but at least it's something that we can get started with making our plastic and rubber. All right, so we have brought up our fuel, or basically our crude oil from down here now. We have 60 cubic meters down there. We got 60 cubic meters down there. We've got 100 cubic meters, I believe. Let me just double check. We should probably do the math on this. I want to say it might be 120, but we're just going to double check on this. So we are, yeah, 60 cubic meters of crude oil coming out of this pump. Let us swing down here and this way. Oh, I got stuck underneath the piping. We have 60 meters out of that one. And then coming off of this one down this way, we should have another 120. Now, I'm thinking I might overclock one of these to get us up, because I think that puts us at 240 cubic meters. But I built my plant. Yeah, so this is 120. So I built my plant to be able to handle 300 cubic meters of fluid. So we're going to be starving out our plant a little bit. But I can overclock one of these to get us that, probably that one down at the bottom there. To get us that extra 60 we need. I can either overclock the two of these or maybe that one at the bottom to get the extra 60 cubic meters. So basically what I've done here is I set up a total of 10 refineries. 5 are doing rubber and 5 are doing plastic. But that does require 300 cubic meters, which is what one of these pipes is capable of. So we're a little bit short on the amount of fluid. So these are going to turn on and off and on and off. And then out this side, we have it exporting. I've got plastic going one way, I've got rubber going the other, and then I have the heavy oil residue right now is just getting thrown into this storage container. Now this isn't going to hold lots. I need to start processing this this oil residue, the heavy oil residue, into either fuel, so that we can have fuel generators, or you know, fuel and put them into different containers and stuff, because this system's going to end up getting backlogged with heavy oil residue. For now, I'm going to have to just reset it, because for me to move forward, I need plastic and rubber coming off of this thing that I can turn in to continue my process through my tiers, through my milestones. So we're kind of running this for right now, and then every once in a while I'm going to have to come up here, and I just got to, you know, flush the whole network. And that will hopefully keep these from getting too backed up. And I think I can even just flush this here as well too. And then of course it will all refill. It doesn't take, I mean, this only holds 400 cubic meters of fluid, and we're making about 200 cubic meters per minute off of this, so we gotta just kind of keep an eye on that. But that is our plastic and rubber manufacturing. Once I have enough plastic and rubber here, we're gonna gather it up and then go turn in some milestones so that we can do something with this heavy oil residue. That needs to be taken care of so that this will basically run on its own without us having to do a bunch of maintenance to it. Okay, so I did a quick little walkabout out there to get some more power slugs. I do have a couple of the blue ones that I'm going to crank out to make some power shards. And while I was on that walkabout as well too, I'm going to head over to research here. Under nutrients, I did find the bacon, so we're going to research that. That's now complete. Next, we need to, it still says, oh, we need to get some more modular frames, and then we can unlock this one, which then I think leads to the inhaler. I have not found a purple power slug yet, so we're still kind of chipping away at that. But I needed those power shards so that we could run down here and overclock this system, so that we are actually getting a true 300 cubic meters of crude oil out of our little production here. So I think I'm going to overclock the one that is the normal node that is 120 items per minute, or sorry, 120 cubic meters per minute. I think that's going to be the best bang for our buck to try to get that up. I need another 60 cubic meters out of that. So we're basically increasing its production by an additional 50%. So we'll see how many power shards that's going to take to do that. So here we are, powder shard number 1, and we are cranking this up to, there we go. There's our 60 right there. All we had to do was put 1 power shard in, and that got us up to 180 cubic meters. So we're 150% on that, and that will now, I'm stuck under our production here. Yeehaw for us. Climb under. We're stuck. There we go. I'm out. So that gives us our 300 cubic meters of crude oil for our plastic and rubber plant. Hopefully we've got a little bit of plastic and rubber stockpiled now, because we have to go turn that in to be able to unlock our next tiers. So now we got to cruise all the way back up here now. I might have to flush the waste or the heavy oil residue just because our production has like ground to a halt again. So we're just going to quickly whip over here and flush this. And that should get the rest of this all fired back up again. I'm going to flush this pipe system as well. See, that's just, oh, I need to do the whole network. There, we flushed the whole network now. So that should drain everything out to be able to get production going back up again. So that's going to get us our 300 items. Let's see how much plastic and rubber that we have been able to do so far. So, oh, you know what? We got lots. I'm going to take like 800 of each. And then we're going to be able to run in and turn in those other milestones. All right, since we had to pop back here to turn in the plastic and rubber, I believe there was one of these that we could turn in. Nutrients, yes. I went and grabbed some more of the modular frames. Let's get that done. That is now unlocked. And yeah, so we need a couple more pieces of the bacon plants, 4 berries, and 10 nuts. And then we'll be able to turn in the nutritional inhaler for our medicinal inhaler as well, too. So that's another research in our MAM taken care of on this episode. All right, so the next milestone that we can complete is on Tier 5, and this is industrial manufacturing. We're going to get the manufacturer, which is desperately needed. We're going to get trucks. We're going to get computers, which we need for some of the other tiers that we've got to take care of, modular engines, and adaptive control units. All of those, of course, get built using the manufacturer. And I think we have everything we need to be able to do this. So we're going to throw in 100 motors. That's in, and then 200 plastic, 200 rubber, and 1,000 cables have all been loaded and launched away. The milestone of industrial manufacturing is complete.
Increases production complexity. A critical look at production line logistics and efficiency is recommended during integration. The truck allows for increased efficiency in transportation, automated or otherwise. New project parts enable progress to the next phase.
All right, so that's what we got out of that, is more advancements in production. So where are we at for this now? Like, let's look at our other milestones here. Big things that we got to get looking at for manufacturing then is we need to be able to get the heavy modular frames getting built. Now that we have an assembler, we should be able to get that into the loop of things. And that will be able to get us into the alternative fluid transportation. That gets us the packager, and and also an industrial fluid buffer. So we get the larger fluid buffer. And then gas masks, which, yeah, we need to get to that point, but it's not really as critical as I think we need to look at. Our next phase is expanding the power infrastructure. This is kind of our important key point here right now, is because we need the fuel generator so that we can process our waste. I'm going to have another look, too, because there might be another alternate for us to be able to process that heavy oil residue. So let us go with our refinery, and I don't have enough motors on me. They're up top here. Let's see what else we can do with the refinery to get rid of that heavy oil residue and just kind of recycle it for now so that we can get enough plastic. And, of course, we're on the wrong floor because the motors are up on the top floor, which is basically our steel production line. And it's because most of the materials on that are getting built with steel. I tell you, this, as far as a starter base, this is probably the most organized I've been for dealing with a starter base. And the easiest I've had being able to get it expanded and grow as we move along. Okay, so we got some more motors. Let's just throw down a refinery right here so that we can have... I need more steel pipe. I never have enough of anything, it seems. Steel pipe is where? Right here. Okay. Let's try this again. Refinery. Okay, we've got it on the ground here. I just want to be able to look at that. So we have heavy oil residue and we need to do something with it. So we can go with either making fuel and getting the polymer resin. But I think actually what's going to be a better option for us is we could go with... no, that's what we're making right now. Let's go back. Plastic. So polymer resin and water can be turned into plastic. This here... No, that's what we're making right now. Residual rubber is polymer resin and water again. But we need to make the polymer resin. And that seems to be only doable by going with crude oil and making fuel. But we need somewhere to put that fuel. That's kind of our biggest stumbling block right now. And of course the fuel generator is the best way to do that. Or we can make... If we get that next production line done so that we can get the alternate fluid storage, then we could store the fuel into containers and then dump those containers into an awesome sink. That might be our best option, I'm thinking. So I think that's what we're going to focus on here, is getting those other production lines done. But for now, I think this is probably a good way to end this episode. Is we got a bunch of MAM research done. We got our refineries up and working, getting us some more, getting us into plastic and rubber. We doubled our power production again, so we're 2.4 gigawatts. And of course, now that we've got all of that, the refineries all up and running and the oil extractors, we're almost using 2,000 gigawatts of power. So it'll be nice when we can get a little bit further along and get those fuel generators done. But I think we've made some progress. I didn't get as far as I wanted to in this episode, but I think we've made a pretty good run at it here so far. So next episode is we're gonna focus on getting a way to get rid of that heavy oil residue. We need to be able to get rid of that waste, and that way our plastic and rubber will continue operating without any issues. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Please leave a like on the video, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment sections and let me know what you think of our plastic and rubber factory that we've got set up here, and also what your thoughts are on how my starter base is coming along. I think this has been, it's very well organized, and I've been really pleased with how it's laying out. It's interesting once you start going through your second playthrough. So please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. I would say right now about 95% of my views come from unsubscribed viewers. So if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. And finally, you can follow me on social media. That's on Instagram and on Twitter, because I also post out there when I've released a new episode. And YouTube notifications can be a little bit sketchy, so you can always get the notifications on Twitter and Instagram. But with that said, You guys have a fantastic one, and we will see you in the next episode.